Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see many familiar faces and some new faces as well. If this is your first time at one of our head office conversations, a very warm welcome, and I think you'll be back for more. Let me first of all say how pleased we are to partner with SFU BD School of Business, the Jack Austin Center, on this head office conversation series. This is a terrific location. Usually we're actually at the Seagull building, which is another terrific location. But being in the heart of downtown is kind of what we want to convey, that the business community, the scholarly community is about being engaged, being plugged into the city center and the activities of the city. The goal of the Head Office Conversation series, as Kirk has already alluded to, is to have conversations about why BC and the Greater Vancouver area in particular is an attractive location for head offices from around the world, and to understand the conditions that can help attract even more head offices to our jurisdiction. Some of you may have been at the Greater Vancouver Board of Trade's event yesterday, a series of events launching what they call the Greater Vancouver Scorecard. They did a comparison of the Greater Vancouver area with 19 other metropolitan areas around the world. And Vancouver came out ninth, so you don't have to cheer for that. Not that great a performance, but okay, B minus, B maybe. We got a couple of A's in a variety of areas, lots of B's, a couple of C's, but one area where we didn't do so well, and which the report highlighted, was the paucity of head offices in Greater Vancouver. We're here to change that, and as Kirk mentioned already, we've already had a number of successes. We hope for a lot more. But let me give you a dimension of why this is a problem. And this statistic comes from our friends at McKinsey, who did a study of head office concentration in a number of metropolitan areas comparable to Vancouver. And what they found was that Vancouver is at 1/3 the level of head offices of similar cities, which is to say that cities like Toronto or Seattle or Houston have 3 times more the number of head offices. But more importantly, if we are able to even close that gap by half, the addition to our gross municipal product will be $5 billion. So the prize is very, very large indeed. The good news, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are an attractive destination for head offices. And my team and I, in the last year, as we work on finding prospects and trying to persuade accounts to settle here, we find that the easiest part of our job is really telling them about what we already have. We have the combination of what we call the TLC package. We have talent, we have location, and we have competitiveness. Now, today's session, we will learn more about the TLC package, whether in fact we have all 3, and I'm really delighted to have such a stellar cast with us to share the experiences. It's a diverse group of companies. I'll say a little bit more about how we understand the difference between and amongst each of them. I'll introduce all 4 of them quickly now, and invite them up to speak one at a time before we will have a chance to have a bit of a panel discussion, and I hope some time also for Q&A. Our first speaker will be Laurie Schultz, who is the President and CEO of ACL, followed by Kirsten Sutton, VP and Managing Director of SAP Labs Canada, followed by Edoardo de Martin, Director of the Microsoft Canada Center of Excellence, and rounding off the panel will be Caws, who is the President and CEO of the BC Innovation Council. Let me now then invite Laurie Schultz, who will speak for 7 minutes thereabouts, Laurie, and then we'll invite the rest up in order. Please welcome Laurie Schultz.
it's my pleasure to tell you a bit about ACL. We have been in Vancouver for almost 40 years, if you can believe that. And my story is one of local roots, global reach. And I thought I would just open with this. 1974, that was the year that Apple Computer was founded. That was their first logo, by the way. That was before Bill Gates was a household name, and that was even before the very first release of Star Wars. What happened in 1974 was this guy, Professor Hartwell, from our very own UBC. He wrote an algorithm, I like to say, in his basements with a bunch of students. And it was basically targeted at non-technical people and helping them interrogate data. Now imagine, that was way before a whole boatload of stuff, including the internet, and really before computers became mainstream, of course. And that's a picture of Hartwell, actually, just a few weeks ago, standing by a profile of him. We just opened a new headquarter office just a few blocks away. And it's just amazing to be able to reflect with our community on the great origination of this technology called ACL, Audit Command Language, in case you're wondering, from our very own roots here in Vancouver. Now, since, over the past several decades, we've grown our business to a global footprint with 61% market share around the world. We are sold in over 100 countries, 140 to be specific, and we have 14,000 customers, including 89% of the Fortune 500, which is really exciting. This is a picture of the inside of our corporate headquarters. And you know, when my daughter, who's 15, asks me what I do, I say, well, Darcy, we make software for auditors. And it's kind of like Auditors National Geographic. When I'm traveling a lot, I'm typically in a country at a pace of one every 6 weeks. And I'm amazed at how many customers I meet around the world that know about our story and our origin right here from British Columbia. What's also of interest is the software enables our customers around the world to interrogate data, to discover anomalies with the goal of stamping out fraud, organizational waste, and unethical business behavior. So think about the Enron scandals, the WorldCom scandals. Think most recently about the Panama Papers. Our customers use our software to prevent stuff like that. We are like a re-startup. We've been around quite a long time. But like our recent company car, yes, it's a 1972 Gran Torino painted purple. You may have seen it driving around Robson Street. We're quite proud about that. So we're like a startup. I got transplanted out into Vancouver 12 years ago, actually, to come and run Simply Accounting and ACPAC. Those businesses got sold. And I was brought in as somebody who's run software to kind of build them to the next level. And I'll speak about it on the panel, but I think that's a real nut for us to crack as an economy, is helping founders pass the reins when it's necessary to help grow businesses from Vancouver. And Harold, who is my boss and the founder of The Professor, he handed the reins to me, and we've been on an incredible ride to transform our business in the last 5 years. We've made 3 acquisitions. We've converted our business model to subscription. 80% of employees at ACL are new to their role. And as I'd mentioned, we just opened a new headquarters, 980 Howe and Nelson, in which we redeployed about $10 million back into the local economy. That's Harold and I, with our ribbon cutting a few weeks ago, and this is just a taste of what the inside of a 40-year-old headquartered company looks like in Vancouver. We're tremendously proud of it. It weaves in local roots. It's very organic. We've got local and global superheroes colored throughout as a theme. And it's a very, very cool place. Attractive for the millennials that are graduating from our school system, and that it's very open. And of course, they like the fact, too, that we do good in the world by helping, again, stamp out fraud, corruption, and waste. So I'll leave you with this. One thing that I love about Vancouver, having run 3 software businesses from this city, is that we've got this amazing cultural footprint. At ACL, we have 250 employees, And within that base, there's 35 countries of origin represented. And I love the cultural mosaic kind of reference to Canadians. And what that allows us to provide as a software company that sells software in 140 countries around the world, simply put, that cultural diversity is a great backdrop for us to sell and build solutions that are renowned around the world. So global reach, local roots. I'm incredibly proud to be a headquartered company here in Vancouver with access to a global market, and I look forward to the panel discussions. Thank you.
Many of you might have heard of SAP before. We've been around a very long time. So the company was founded in 1972. And at that time, it was a revolution, the software that we built. Nobody had really gone through and looked at business process the way that SAP had. They'd never had it put into a business system, and it worked for everything. Your finances, your HR, your shop floor, your manufacturing, your logistics, you name it. You could run your business on SAP and run it in a way that was much, much more efficient. So what I want to do today is show you that SAP has changed quite a bit, for one, and two, just tell you a couple stories. One that's of German origins and one that's of Vancouver origins, and bringing them together for you today. So really quickly, as I said, 1972, that was the genesis of SAP. 4 guys decided they're taking off from their current job and we're going to start something new. So when they did that, of course, it went very well. As I said, they created a product called R2. It revolutionized business process. And for a good long period of time, they sold it to everybody in Germany. Every car company, every chocolate company, every beer company, you name it. Every bit of chocolate, I think we have 79% of the world's chocolate runs through an SAP system, and 85% of the world's beer runs through an SAP system. And we help companies on some of the best car makes and models around the world. But as you might imagine, at some point you have to grow past that. So when you think about where we're going to develop and where you might put your development locations, there became a strategy for SAP. It came in 5 phases. So the first phase was access to local markets. So they'd done pretty well in Germany. It was time to move on. And where is the most obvious place to go next? The US. So from 1972 until 1994, there was only one development center, and that was in Waldorf, Germany. If anybody's been to Waldorf, it's in the middle of an asparagus field. Nothing else nearby, except now there's 22 buildings and a lot of street signs on the Autobahn that tell you to get off at the next exit for SAP. So moved to the US, 1994, we opened a development location in Palo Alto. So that was the first access that SAP wanted to get, and that's why development moved outside of Germany. So great, now we have access to market, the biggest market now for SAP, of course. And then what's next? So we started running out of people. So Germany, I think we'd hired anybody from any asparagus field nearby and pretty much everywhere else. And even in the US, right, it was getting pretty popular technology, Silicon Valley and all, and it was getting harder and harder to find talent even there. So that's the next phase, access to talent. That's when we went out, and places, of course, like India became very attractive, very quick growing, very highly skilled laborers, very good schools that they had there. So next foray was out into places like India. So 1998, we opened in India. Next phase came more by happenstance than really by purpose, and that's through acquisition. So another way development organizations can grow and you can get new locations and new talent is by acquiring companies who have talent in places that you don't. And that's how we here in Vancouver came to be part of SAP. So, and I'll tell you the other story briefly in a minute. So at that point, we took on many companies. This is how we got our locations in Bulgaria, in Hungary, here in Vancouver, and goes on and on from there. Right now, we have 190 locations that actually where SAP does development, but only 15 that are deemed as labs locations. So 90% of the development is done in these 15 locations, Canada being one of them. So after the acquisition phase, then there was new markets, emerging markets. So Latin America became very big. Agriculture, very big for SAP in Latin America. So we opened a lab there to make sure we had talent in country. Same thing for CIS. So we have a headquartered lab in Moscow as well. So that was phase 4, right? Where were we going to move next? We needed to move into places where there was an emerging market. Last is the phase that we're in now is optimization. So with all of these development locations and fragmented products, and Edoardo and I were just talking about this, how do you rationalize so many people around the world? right? Of over 30,000 developers, and they're spread all over the countries. So how do we make sure that we have an efficient development process and our products are well integrated? So that's the phase we're in now. So that's the German story of SAP. And I wanted to share that first because, of course, I'm a very proud SAP employee. But there is a local story that I wanted to make sure we told because we're kind of in between ACL and Microsoft from that perspective. So not so dissimilar story. It started out the same way. 4 guys in a basement here in Vancouver decided to start their own company. Very similar to Laurie's story. They were very interested in data and visualizing that data and creating really beautifully formatted reports for people. So we started out back in 1984 to create the first report writer, Crystal Reports. How many of you have heard of Crystal Reports? How many have used it? Was it a lovely experience? Much more lovely. Thank you. Thank you. So we started out very similar way with something that nobody really had before in the way it was done before. It became a gold standard. We bundled with everybody on the planet. It was very successful. The OEM strategy was how we grew. And it was definitely a very, very smart strategy, one of our greatest partners here with Microsoft. So from there, very similarly, went through many different changes. So 1994, Seagate Technology decided they wanted a software division. They learned about us, thought, oh, they're doing pretty well, let's buy them. So first time we were acquired was in 1994, and we became Seagate Software Division of Seagate Technology. After that, about 2001, Seagate Technology thought, we're going to stick with technology, no more software, and they sold us to a venture capital firm in the US called Silver Lake Partners. From there, we became Crystal Decisions. Many of you might have heard of Crystal Decisions here. And then it was only 2 years later that Business Objects thought, that we're going to buy our rivals. And so we became Business Objects. Then 5 more years later, we were in the hotel again when somebody came out and said that we were bought by SAP. So different than the SAP story in that SAP was the same name all the time. For me, I've had 5 different companies in many different roles, but I've been here the whole time. And so has our company, and so have our employees, and so has this talent. So it's an interesting story. While we may not be locally headquartered, we have stayed here all that time, right? And why is that? And I know, just like Laurie, we'll talk about that more later. Why did SAP choose to keep us here? Why did Business Objects choose to keep us here? Why did Crystal Decisions? Why didn't we move down to the valley at the time we were bought by Silver Lake Partners? And all the way through, why did we stay? I'll talk about that later. But I think the part that I really want to leave with all of you right now, and I think is really interesting to take note of, is that nobody wants to be the only tech company here. That's absolutely not what we want. We want tech to be vibrant. We want tech to be an ecosystem. We want to work with each other, and we want to stay here ourselves, all of us here on this panel, and we want our companies to stay here. So our job, day in, day out, is to find a way to make sure that that happens. So I'll leave it with that, and we'll talk about more later.
It's an interesting device, this. What do you call it? It's all good. Sorry, I'm just making fun of you. We're all friends now with Apple. It's all good. So, anyways, there we go. So we started our development presence in Vancouver in 2009. We purchased Big Park Games and started our video game story here in Vancouver. In 2014, we took our video game division and we took all the other businesses that we had in Vancouver, and then we amalgamated them all under the name Microsoft Canada Excellence Center, which is a really long name, but it's excellent. And so we secured the space at 725 Granville and started renovations, and we moved in there February of this year. We're considered a global development center. We're one of 6 in Microsoft, and really the goal of our center is to be a world-class center for training, innovation, and software development. We are about 570 people right now across 2 locations, our 725 Granville location and our 858 BD location, where we keep our video game team, the Coalition, making Gears of War 4. Here are some of the brands that we have here in Vancouver that we work on. Gears of War 4 will be released October of this year. It's the most anticipated title for Microsoft this year, and it comes out of Vancouver, which is a good thing to know. We make an NFL app here in Vancouver that, so basically we broadcast all NFL games live on Xbox One and on the Windows 10 platform. That's all done here in Vancouver. We add this enriched player data package to it all, so when you want to watch a football game, you can watch the stats on your favorite player. And it's really neat because what happens in Vancouver around Super Bowl is that 858 BD, well actually now 725 Granville now, becomes a command center for broadcasting the Super Bowl. It's really neat and weird because they're all Canadians doing it and no one really likes football, but you know, it's a job. What do you got to do, right? One of the great things about our development, sort of opportunities to work in Vancouver is that you get the chance to work on interactive media such as video games and NFL football, as well as MSN News. Vancouver provides the service and curation of all the news for Microsoft, for MSN News, or all of Microsoft. We also have a OneNote team that's working on some pretty cool stuff. The web client for OneNote, and we're actually have an education strategy where we're going head-to-head against Google Docs, and that's all happening out here in Vancouver. Why Vancouver? There are quite a few factors why we're here in Vancouver. The first one really is we're building on the talent that already exists here and the talent that we've been tapping in for some time now. Vancouver, from our perspective, is rich in telecom and video game talent, and when you look back at some of the products we had there, there's a natural fit for that. Second thing is, I had to look at that. The second thing is really as a diverse workforce. So when we're creating a global development center, we want to place it someplace, we want to look at the diversity of the workforce because we're no longer making products for just North Americans, we're making products for the entire world, just as Laurie had pointed out. Same thing for us. When you look at Vancouver, it's easy to see why that's a great place, a great choice. We're close to head office, but not so close. So we're close to head office because we need to go down there. We got 2.5 hours to get down there. They have 2 hours to come the other direction. We're farther away because it gives us an opportunity to create a culture that's distinctly our own. It's distinctly Vancouver. And when you work in a company as large as Microsoft, these global development centers all over the world offer a different perspective in software development and actually offers us unique perspectives that you could not get at head office. The tech ecosystem in Vancouver, another factor, you know, when you look at the tech ecosystem in Vancouver, it is young, it is growing, it's nowhere near other places in the world, and there's an opportunity to bring it there. And so when we look at our placement, we don't want to be late to the party, we want to be part of the party, we want to help entrepreneurs and small companies grow, we have platforms and tools to help individuals scale, and we want to be part of that success in Vancouver. And then really finally, I really don't have to say much more than that, it's an awesome city to live in, so. What does the future hold for us? Our grand opening is happening in the middle of June. Did a bunch of other stuff that I can't tell you about, but you'll see. As we look at our talent and our products as they mature in the city, we'll be building on those successes. Just recently, we brought up a 40-person HoloLens team up here, and so we did that because when you look at the talent for augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, Vancouver is just a hotbed of that with all the video game guys who understand 3D space better than nobody. So that is a no-brainer for us to put HoloLens development in Vancouver, and that's one of our recent additions to our group here. And that's about it for all the craziness that Microsoft is doing in town. So thank you.
So the BC Innovation Council is old. It's over 40 years old. A lot of you would know it as the Science Council of British Columbia, which had been around for a long time. But we moved about 10 years ago to focus on innovation and commercialization. In other words, trying to help companies succeed in the province. So we're part of the Ministry of Technology, Innovation and Citizen Services, and we're what they call their economic delivery arm. So we're out there in the trenches helping people day to day. And as I was so kindly introduced, I am an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. And I took this job to help the other entrepreneurs in the province. That's why I'm here. So BCIC, very, very simple. We want to make British Columbia a great place for technology entrepreneurs. And there's a variety of ways that we can actually do that. But our vision is fairly simple. We want British Columbians to have great jobs in the technology sector. And as you're probably well aware, we have an extremely balanced and strong sector in British Columbia. So a few words on what we do. I'm going to go through this very quickly and then get you to the exciting stuff. We run 15 technology accelerators around the province. We have about 200 companies in any given day in these accelerators. You too can take your company there if you like. We have a number of them in town here. We run the BC Technology Summit. We had about 3,600 people in January come out, and if you went out to this thing, the food was fantastic, the wine was good, and well, yeah, and the other stuff was good too. But it was quite the event. We give away about $3 million in co-op grants a year to people. We're targeting second-year students and companies that have not done co-ops before. So if you need some help, we can help you. $2,500 per student. We're also trying to create entrepreneurs, and that's what this skills initiative does. So if you are a leader in a company and you're going to give a business students a chance to learn about what it's like to be an entrepreneur, we'll provide up to $7,500 to help offset the wages of that student. We run the Ignite program. This is a big deal. This is about $2.2 million a year that we provide to researchers who work with companies that are trying to get their products or their inventions over the finish line to commercialization. So basically, get it over the finish line to someone paying you for what you made. That's what that means. So it's important if you're an educator. This program is underway right now. It happens every quarter. We run a large competition every year. There's about $350,000 in prizes for young companies. We've had 165 applicants this year, and next month we'll begin going through the process of finding out who the winners are. So if you apply, we select 40 companies, and you actually receive very intensive coaching for about 2 months. It's a real boot camp in learning how to be an entrepreneur. There's been a lot of big success stories created in British Columbia out of this program because you can keep coming back every year and 2 or 3 times. We had one company that came back 4 times before they actually won, and now they're a very large clean tech company. We also help mid-sized to larger companies source stuff within the province. We're a facilitator. We know everybody in every industry. It sounds like a lot to say, but it's very true. We're agnostic. We're a neutral third party. And we also are the largest single funder of sponsorships in the province. We give away millions of dollars a year in sponsorships to help companies put on events. So you'll see our little green logo in many places, but that's sort of what we do. So about 86,000 jobs in high technology. It's a great place to work. You make a heck of a lot more money, about $76,000 a year compared to the average of about 46 grand a year. You've got, in the high-tech industry, about 10,000 businesses out there. And this is all Statistics Canada data, and it's a big portion of our GDP, about 7%. It kind of goes up and down. I think the one statistic that I always find interesting is that if you look at the traditional industries in British Columbia, technology employs more than all the traditional industries combined. So it's quite the thing. So looking at growth, you can see that our sector is actually growing a lot faster, with the blue line, faster than the Canadian average. I guess we should try and overtake Alberta and Manitoba, but that's only data from 2 years ago, so I'm sure the situation's a little bit different now. And we also span all industries. So it's an enabler for other things, and this is something that you have to remember. Every industry, every company is a tech company nowadays. Everything is migrating to the cloud. I have large corporate owners of traditional industries coming to me and telling me, well, our next big opportunity is data. Our next big opportunity is machine-to-machine communications, things like that. The whole landscape is changing, and you can see we've got a lot of them, oil and gas, we've got clean technology, etc. It all plays into it. In terms of venture capital deals, about $450 million worth of VC deals were done here last year, about 86 deals. If compared to Ontario, if you think of the size of Ontario, we're just under half of what Ontario did in deals. We're a lot smaller portion of the population, so bodes well for us. In our ICT sector, we employ about 108,000 people. So that would be ICT people that are working in hospitals or ICT people that are working in finance. And of course, we've got all the high-tech stuff as well. So it has a massive, massive impact. And about $9 billion in output in the province. These are some of the companies that we have here. We've had a few speakers already from here, obviously Microsoft, SAP. We've got a lot of large players here. I would say we may not have a lot of corporate headquarters, but we sure do have a lot of their divisions within British Columbia. Here's some of the local national titans and the local sort of IoT high-tech stuff. And the software with the usual suspects up there, Slack, Hootsuite, etc., Clio. FinTech is growing quickly in our province, and very excited to see that. There's going to be a lot of stuff. I know that I actually can use my iPhone now with my Royal Bank credit card to do the tap. I got that the other day. And very important to us in clean tech and energy. Around the world, everybody knows British Columbia as being the clean and green place, beautiful BC. It's a brand that we have to build off. If you think about it carefully, most technology, science, innovative technology can trickle up into clean tech. And we have a large industry here. We brought the Canadian oil sands here to try and solve some greenhouse gas and clean water problems. We didn't advertise it highly because we didn't want any visitors with placards out front. But the bottom line is we produced 4 clean tech solutions in greenhouse gas and clean water that they're actually going to adopt. And these corporations, which are large global multinationals, don't take solutions unless they're approaching the multiple hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. So you've got this in your backyard. So why are companies coming here? The first thing is a talent. Very, very low cost to hire talent here. We've got a lot of educational institutions that produce great innovation and great grad and post-grad students for hire. Many private post-secondary, other institutions as well besides our university. So the first is talent. The second is taxes. So can you guess the theme? Taxes, talent, and so we'll go on to another one in a second here. It's obvious. This is a huge driver. We have the lowest corporate taxes, lower than anywhere else in the States, and amongst the lowest in North America. It's a huge bonus for us. We have tax credits that supplement investment. We give away about $45 million a year in small business tax credits to people that want to invest. And we rank number 2 in tax competitiveness. So that's taxes. And the third one is our time zone. You can actually talk to Europe and to Asia in the same day. I guess you can talk to Palo Alto in the same day too, but sometimes it's just faster to fly down there. So I'm just going to bore you for half a second here with this. We have a new technology strategy. The federal government is pushing innovation and clean technology in a huge way. We have sort of a nexus of events happening here, and we all need to take advantage of that in a big way. There's $800 million in innovation money on the table. When our province goes to bat for it, we usually get a quarter of it. So we're looking at $200 million here that we can leverage to make our technology better. So think about it. It's something we need to work on right now. So the tech strategy is about talent. We, as a provincial government, are going to buy more. Okay, I can tell you that right now. We're working within our 550 some odd procurement officers to begin the change to sort of allow us to buy stuff at home. This is a big change, by the way, for the provincial government. Capital, as you know, we put up a $100 million fund of funds to help venture capitalists invest in companies, to push that along. That's a big commitment from a government that is very fiscally responsible. And of course, talent, we are going to be pumping more money into education. We are going to have every child from kindergarten to grade 13 learn to code. This is absolutely going to be mandatory. And for those companies out there that need to get talent, we're going to make it mandatory that they have co-op terms or that they have some type of work experience when they're coming out of programs. That way we don't hear, oh, well, the talent doesn't quite fit us. We have this exact need. So working with industry will make sure that we have the talent. So it's going to grow. We need to fill about 21,000 jobs over the next few years. And we need to get more of this adoption into our traditional industries. That's all I have.